Okay, we're on. Woohoo! I've got that part done. Well, hello, everybody. Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, this is a special treat for me. I am a lawyer, practiced law for a long time here in Chicago in a wide variety of settings. I was a prosecutor for many years. I worked at what was then, I was a partner at Sun and Shine for several years, and then I went in-house at Sara Lee. I was the general counsel at Sears. Ultimately Exelon. So, but I don't get to hang out with all lawyers all the time, so it's kind of usually I'm like one of the few lawyers in the room, and so that can get scary. So I'm thrilled to be here with you this morning. Welcome to Chicago. I know you're going to have a great meeting. I know you are in a fabulous city, and we're going to talk a little bit about why I think Chicago is so great. You're going to get to see some of our wonderful institutions, including the Art Institute tonight. Your river tour tomorrow is fantastic. I should tell you that the Chicago Architecture River Tour, which you won't have the people from the Architecture Foundation, but you'll still get to see the buildings. But the Architecture River Tour was rated by TripAdvisor, where they just released their worldwide best attractions. We were #1 in the country and #2 in the world, second only to the Vatican. So you're going to get a little, see, yeah, pretty cool. So you can check that off your bucket list, yahoo. And it really is impressive, and looks like the weather's going to hold for you, so that's a great thing too. So welcome to Chicago. I'm here to talk to you a little bit about the business, what the business environment here, and how we're growing and what we're doing. I run something called World Business Chicago. We're the city's economic development organization. We recruit companies to come here. We help companies that are here grow and expand and help them do that. And then we promote the city internationally. So we do, when the mayor makes international travel, we arrange that. We build relationships with partners. I'll talk a little bit about that. We are focused on driving growth, and we're focused on doing that inclusively. It's a definitive part of our mission. As many of you, I think, know, we have a new mayor here in Chicago, Lori Lightfoot. Driving inclusive growth has been an important part of what she's talking about, and really what that simply means is really being intentional about thinking about our central business district, as I'll talk about in a minute, is growing very organically. We are very top of mind for companies when they want to come and when they're thinking about growth for a whole host of reasons. That is really changing and very important for us. But we have parts of our city that aren't growing organically, and we work to make that happen. We have a number of programs. Chicago Next is focused on our tech center. CASE is a program focused on connecting big institutions with small local businesses for procurement purposes. And then we also run our Sister Cities program. And then at the bottom are just a number of programs that over the years we have launched, because we are a place where we pilot a lot of things, and we've launched a number of initiatives, including Current and M-Hub, our incubators. And M-Hub is manufacturing focused, and Current is focused on water technology. So we do a lot in addition to helping businesses, but also around helping to drive Chicago's economy. Oops. So I just want to talk a little bit about kind of the platform of Chicago and why we think we're doing some of the things that we think are a big draw for companies when they're coming here. We have been very strong in the last few years for companies starting to think about Chicago as a place to come. We're #1 city in the country the last 6 years in a row for corporate expansion and relocation. We have, and I'll talk a little bit more about this, the most diversified economy. We are also the #1 most connected airport in the country, #2 in the US after Heathrow. We have an incredibly diverse city and a set of neighborhoods. What I like to tell people, companies that are coming here, in fact, we just had this conversation yesterday with Google, is that it doesn't matter who you're bringing, who your people are, what they're interested in, what their community is, what their background is, what stage in their life is. We will have a place for them. We will have an affordable place for them to live, whether you are a millennial who's comfortable living in those little teeny tiny apartments that are kind of scary, but apparently they like them, or you're starting a new family and you want to build a home. We have, according to Redfin, the #1 most affordable neighborhood, attractive neighborhood in the country. We have 7 in the top 25 neighborhoods, and that's ranked by affordability, quality of schools, quality of access to parks. It is simply just a great city to live in and a great place for business to thrive. And we are also been the #1 city for foreign companies, #1 city for foreign direct investment last 6 years in a row. So Chicago is really, and one of the things we tend to play under our weight, and especially for those of you who are coming here from outside the country, one of the challenges we really have and we're really trying to do is to get, when people come, they're like, oh my God, this is an amazing city. The problem is if I don't get them to come, they might not know. We might not be top of mind, and that's really one of the things we're very focused on. We have an incredibly large economy. If we were a country, we'd be 21 in the world. A former mayor, Emmanuel, always used to say that almost put us in the G20, which scared him a lot. It's like, I'm not going to those meetings again. We also have a very diverse economy. No one sector has more than 14% of our economy, and that is really great for service businesses, for innovation, and for tech, because we just have a broad range of markets here for people to go to, and a wide range of companies and major corporate headquarters and major brands that are headquartered here or have significant presence here. Just yesterday, well, I'll talk about that actually a little bit later. So we also have a significant global reach. As I mentioned, we are #1 in foreign direct investment. And we also have a large number of consulates here. We work very closely at World Business Chicago with the consulates. When they're working with their businesses from their companies that are interested in coming here, we connect with them very well. We also, under Mayor Emanuel, which we expect to continue under Mayor Lightfoot, have worked really hard to build relationships on a city level with not only other cities, but other foreign governments. So we have an agreement with the Chinese, 8 cities in China that we did through the Chinese Ministry of Commerce, where we have economic development agreements. And in fact, I'm heading over to China this week to meet with some of those leaders of those cities to talk about how we can better engage in those, continue to expand on those agreements. We have an agreement with Mexico City, we have an economic development agreement with London, Tel Aviv, and last year we signed an economic development agreement with the country of Japan. It was the first time that Japan has ever signed an economic development agreement as a country with a city. And I think really the significance of that, and I think for you all as you're having your conversations, is really to think about, as you know, that, for example, if you take China, at the national level, we have some issues. And so the importance of big urban centers and cities leading in areas becomes more and more important. And so we were very committed to that. The mayor, under Mayor Emanuel, we also hosted NATO here. We also had a climate summit where we had mayors from 60 cities all over the world come in and sign the Chicago Climate Charter, which was very much like the Paris Charter after the US had pulled out of the Climate Charter, really making clear that cities can make a difference, and particularly large cities can have an impact. And I think you're going to continue to see that trend, and we're going to continue to try and lead there. As I mentioned, WBC hosts the Sister Cities program, and we have 29 sister cities. I mentioned that to you. It is it's intended and started as a cultural program, but we really do lever it in our economic development effort because many of these cities are cities where we have relationships and where we try and build relationships, but also it really helps when you're bringing an international company that's trying to recruit people and have different backgrounds, but they know that they have a community here. Well, we have a number of, as I said, strong international relationships. We have a large number of foreign-owned companies that are here, major and headquartered here significantly, many name brands that you would recognize and know. One of the other big draws that I'll just touch on briefly is the fact that for Chicago is that we have an incredibly strong workforce, right? People, if you want, that is, when I talk to companies, and I'm sure when you talk to your clients, their number one issue right now is talent and making sure that they're going to have access to talent and making sure that that pipeline of talent is going to continue. We clearly are a place where you can provide it, and most importantly, where you can get it. We have a highly educated population. 38.5% of our population has of 24 or over has a college degree. That's one of the highest in the country. But the other thing is we're a draw. The last stat there is my current favorite. Highest concentration, according to LinkedIn, highest concentration of millennials of any neighborhood in the country. And by the way, if you have time, you should go check out the West Loop. It's not far from here. There's some amazing restaurants there, world caliber restaurants, but it has become its own global tech hub and tech hub there. Google is there, McDonald's just moved their headquarters there, a number of other companies there, and people are coming there in large numbers. So I'm going to now just move to a couple to talk about some of the sectors in that diverse range of some of our major sectors. Financial industry is certainly one of them. A number of large financial institutions, huge financial population, 139 billion gross product. But we also are doing, and because of that, we're also leading in fintech. We're top 5 fintech hubs in the world. We have the largest futures exchanges, futures, options, and derivatives exchanges in the world are based here. And so that area continues to grow. So not only fintech, but related technological fields like cybersecurity and AI that are related deeply to fintech and its work. We also have a significant healthcare industry here, 66 billion gross regional product, and 675,000 employees, lots of companies. And that really, again, runs the gamut of, we have a number of health institutions and hospitals, but we also have significant pharmaceutical business companies here, AbbVie, Abbott, Baxter, and others, about $7.8 billion of gross revenue product of healthcare businesses. And so we are in the top 10 in the country for employment first. Life scientists, chemists, bioscientists, biochemists. So that's a huge area as well for Chicago. And again, also doing a lot in terms of innovation and leading there. And we also have, in addition to incredible institutions like the University of Chicago, we also have Argonne and Fermilab, which are also leading. So we are becoming a leading center for tech and innovation in healthcare as well. We have a growing food business and manufacturing business as well. We are the #1 city in the country for food manufacturing. And the other thing that people forget, not just about Chicago, but about Illinois, and my friends downstate say this all the time because I think we don't love them or think about them ever, which is so not true. But we are a significant agricultural state. So we have about 72,000 farms here in Chicago and farmers, and the agricultural products and farms cover about 76% of our land mass in the state, which is significant. And so we have a huge agricultural business and industry in our state that impacts what's happening here in Chicago. And a lot of food innovation happening here. Last year, 2 years ago, we opened something called the Hatchery, which is a food incubator funded by in part by the city, but also in part by private industry, including Kellogg and ConAgra. And it's an incubator for food innovation. And it's also one of the great things about it is not only is it a great place and where it's going to be a great place for food innovation and food businesses, but it's also located on the west side of our city, which is one of our more challenged neighborhoods. And so we hope that it's going to create a hub there of food businesses and create some more economic activity. So it shows that you can tie those two things together if you're intentional about it. And then it just gives you some idea of some of the companies that are here and headquartered here and are moving back. And we are really seeing a lot of that. And I don't know, you may be seeing this in your cities as well. A lot of that reverse trend of companies that were headquartered here, moved to the suburbs in the 60s and 70s, and now are coming back into the city, in large part because of the talent. They're having a really hard time recruiting people to come out to the far out suburbs, and people want to be here in the city. And so just in the last couple of years, McDonald's came in, Ferrara Candy came in, and a couple of others. And so that's great for the city because it helps us grow, and also I think also helps us to build kind of a strong community. We also have our incredible logistics leader, huge logistics business here, TD&L, Transportation, Distribution, and Logistics. We have the #1 intermodal system in the Western Hemisphere here. We are #3 in the world. We have, as I mentioned, I may not have mentioned, it was on the original slide, #1 most connected, I did say this, connected airport in the world. And the other thing I just want to note is that we're also making a lot of investments in that. Those kinds of things that are really important to growing Chicago. $25 billion into the O'Hare Airport. We're adding capacity of a 3rd airport at O'Hare. We're adding an international terminal at O'Hare that we may have heard. It's going to be designed by Jeannie Gang, who's one of the world's most renowned architects in the world. But what's really awesome about this terminal is that we're going to combine, it's going to be the first terminal in the country where the airlines are going to be able to combine their international flights and their domestic flights. So you can get off an international flight at this terminal and walk into the terminal and get on a domestic flight. So you'll be able to make those exchanges in the terminal. It'll be the first in the country. So really excited about that, and those kinds of investments, of course, for those of you who travel a lot, and I'm sure that many of you, if not all of you do, know that that matters, right? It matters, and our airports are becoming their own little cities and villages as well, and so we are making that investment here as well. Also have huge warehousing district here, and also the 6 of the 7 national railroads have interchanges here. So major businesses like Echo, Coyote, C.H. Robinson, all growing and thriving here and hiring here and expanding. So the last thing I'm going to talk about is just talk about tech and innovation. I'm guessing, I could be wrong, but I'm guessing that when you think tech and innovation, Chicago's not at the top of your list yet. But the fact is we have a growing and thriving tech and innovation ecosystem here that is significant. We are the #1 city for women-owned startups. We also are for investors. PitchBook ranked us that we have the highest rate of return for startups and for venture capital investments of any city in the country. We have a wide range of companies that are starting here on a regular basis. We also, this is my favorite slide because, as I mentioned, I'm a trial lawyer by training. You know that trial lawyers, we like graphics, right? So this is my favorite graphic because I don't have to say much. This is innovation. This gives you just a snapshot of innovation in Chicago over the last few years. And the main point that I love about this slide, besides the fact that it's growing, is the exponentiality of it and the short term. If you go back to 2000 and really just to 2010, we had 0 incubators in Chicago in actually 2008. 0 incubators. Now we have well over 100, including the #1 university-affiliated incubator in the world in 1871. And what those incubators are doing, besides just starting up companies and why they're important spaces, is that they're also now starting to work with major companies who are trying to think through their own R&D. So companies outside of Chicago, like P&G, are bringing R&D teams here to Chicago to work at our incubators because they think it might be a more innovative environment than Cleveland. Who knew? It is really a critical, important part of our economy here. And really, and I think you all know this, all companies these days are tech companies, right? And so if you don't have a strong environment, they are all doing innovation, they are all doing R&D, they're all looking at how AI can impact their work. JP Morgan Chase has one of the biggest cybersecurity groups in the world. And so, although you don't necessarily think of them as a tech company, and so you have to have that basis if you're going to grow your city and your economy. So I hope that this gives you just a sense of the vibrancy of this city. I didn't talk much about the life because I thought you really wanted to hear about the business, but I hope that this gives you what we love about Chicago is our diversity. It's our strength. It's our diversity not only just of our businesses and the breadth of kinds of companies that we have here and the quality of the companies, but it is also the diversity of our people. We have an incredibly diverse population. Over 500,000 of our citizens are born outside of the U.S., and we think that is a huge strength as a country and a base on which to grow. And so we're excited about our future here, and I'm thrilled that you are here spending money. I hope a lot of it, and I hope that you enjoy the rest of your conference. Thank you.